Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you a little quilting hack of mine. A lot of times I want to just be able to, work the piece, and sometimes your fabric like slides around and you don't really want to keep pinning it, and it can be, this is actually a time saver. So what I do is I get some fusible interfacing, and it can be the very lightweight or medium weight. Um, it adds a lot of body and more strength to your quilt because it's another layer added to the back of the quilting fabric, which sometimes can be very lightweight because it's cotton anyway. So what I've done is I've got my strips for the pattern that I'm doing. This is pre-sewing before I sew it. And you're going to sew right through the interfacing. So you lay your interfacing on your table or work area with the pebble side up, which is the glue side up. Then you lay out your strips the way you want them to appear. Do not overlap them. Have them just meet each other. Because when you take this to your sewing machine or even your serger, this way if you don't have a serger, your ends of your strips are already sealed shut with the glue from the interfacing. So it does two purposes. It keeps your strips in place, and it also keeps it from fraying on the back side. So then, I can't remember if I heated this iron up or not. So I got my iron here. It's not hot yet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press it on top of the fabric. This is the right side up. The fabric is right side up. The wrong side is onto the pebbled part of the interfacing, so that the glue adheres to the back side. And just make sure I've got these all, yep, I've got them all on there correctly. And I match them up evenly at the top, all the way down. And as soon as this is warm enough, it's just about ready. And then I'm just going to press it on. And when I do this, I usually start just by letting it sit, and then I slowly move it down. About 5 seconds for each move, about 4 inches all the way down. Sometimes even now this fabric wants to slide around on me, so I'm just making sure it stays put. And then my iron's saying you're not moving fast enough. So there, I've got that. And it went off the table a little bit, so I'm going to do to the end. Just like this. As you'll see, some of my strips don't match at the end, but that's okay because I'm going to even that out as I cut the pieces I need. These are 2.5 inch strips each because I want to come up with a 6 inch square. Or I may just use this for a 9 patch. Now you can do this same thing for your 9 patch, and so now you see it's all nice and it's got the interfacing on there. A piece of scrap was under there. And then you take this to your sewing machine, and where they meet, and that's what's great thing about this interfacing is it allows you to seam it without it sliding around, and you don't have to use any pins. So you just want to fold it. And what's neat is the interfacing folds right where they meet. You don't have to guess. You have to look in there and have to mark it. As soon as you go to fold this, it folds right where it needs to be. And you do your 1/4 inch seam and you're done. So once you do that, then you can cut your 6.5 inch pieces. If you're doing the log cabin look, which is with these guys. These are I call them the log cabin because they're the log look. And see, and I don't have that on the back of this. Now what I could do at this point, because this is 18.5 inches square all the way around, and I could put interfacing on this just to give it something solid, and I may do that. If I'm giving these as a gift, I typically will put interfacing on it. You don't need to. Don't think that you need to do it. I just like to do it. So if you're doing the 9-patch version, like this, well then you would cut your, at this point you could do the 2.5 inch, but if you have a project that you've already started and you've cut out your little strips for your 9-patch, then this makes it easy to do the pattern. You can do this first, then put them on the interfacing, which is what I'm going to do with this. And that way, I'm going to get this interfacing up here to show you exactly what I mean. What's that? Something fell off of there. I don't know what that was. It looked like a bead. Oh, it's an earring. I don't know where that came from. So I'm going to take this paper off of here. We don't need that. I know how to use this stuff. And then I'm going to move the iron out of the way. And what I'll do is, I know my 9-patch finished size is going to be a 6-inch square, but I have to account for how much the width of this is.
Incoming voice call from +1 254 735
I keep getting
1185.
phone numbers from people. I don't even know who they are. But, so I know that this is 6.5 by 2.5. So if I take 3 of these and I place them on here how I want the design, I can put that like that. There's one. And this is where you can do your design right on the interfacing. And put that one there. What's this other one look like? Because I don't want them to repeat themselves. So I have to flip them around and flip around. So anyway, and I should have another combination here someplace. And that. Yeah, this one. Is this one? Oh, excuse me. I have to reverse them. There we go. That's how I wanted it. So I've got my 3 strips, my 9 squares on here, and I'm going to press that, then cut that out, and then go to the next one. So what I typically will do is I'll take and use my ruler here, because I don't want any glue to get on the bottom of my iron. So I'm going to put this, and I've got this on this self-healing mat. Grit it out, and where did my cutter go? I just had in my hand. Yep, there it is. It's hiding. Okay, so for the 9-patch, I've got 3 rows of 3. I've got them on there, and then I'm going to line this up with the edge and cut straight down that, just like this, so that way I can pull this away so that my iron does not get glue on the bottom. I got glue on the bottom of my iron one time, and I was so irritated with myself. And I do need to get another blade for this because it's not very sharp. And cut that out. And the great thing about the interfacing, it doesn't have to be exact, but if it is, it makes it, it finishes off your edges a lot better. So there's that piece. So here's my interfacing. And then these are my pieces. I've got that one facing that way, that one that way, and then this one this way. Yep. So this is kind of the reverse of the one I already have done. So I'm going to put that there. And that one. Just like that. Now this one strip, I know that these are a little bit bigger than 2.5, but I'm going to even that up before I go to actually stitch it. And this way too, you can make sure that your seams here that are stitched, when you put them next to each other, that's going to keep them in place, and you're not going to have this seam off-centered. You want nice crisp corners that everybody matches up good. So that's why fusible interfacing is a big help. So I typically will do the first 2 rows on this 9 patch. First row, get that good and secured and pressed. And that's nice and flat. Then I'll take the second one, make sure that my seams are matching up, not overlapping, just matching up. And do that with the next one. And then take the third one. Do this. Sometimes you have to pull it a little bit, and just to make sure that the seams all match up, because sometimes the stitching on the back will make it kind of shrink up a little bit, like this one is trying to do. So I'll hold it like that so I can get the center. Start from the center and work your way out. Okay. Just like that. And then I can even up my edges by laying it out here on the gridded part. Make sure that that edge is nice and straight. Because sometimes the cotton will kind of do a little stretch number on you. So you just go in and just kind of straighten it out by, because it'll like do this little curve. Like mine has a tendency to do that. I don't know whether it's the material. I think it's the material. It has a little bit of unforeseen stretch in it. So we're just going to even this up so it's not so crooked. Because if I were to measure this, it would be a little bit bigger than the 6.5 inches. Come on. Get that little guy off of there. That's why I have these little scissors. When I can't, I've got to get a new blade for my rotary cutter. Rotary blade. Like that. And of course the top is going to be the same way because it did its own little stretchy thing there. There we go. So there's my 9 patch. All I got to do is fold it this way. It automatically stops where it needs to be seamed and stitch 1/4 inch here. Turn it over, do the same thing on the other side. Of course, then all you have is these 3 rows. Then what you do is you do the opposite direction. You do vertical. You go and stitch that. I mean, you can do the vertical and then the horizontal. It doesn't make any difference. I just like to do the horizontal first to secure it, and then I do my sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one where I'm going to do it on my machine, and I'll show you how it looks after. I'm having a bad hair day, can you tell? And then we will see what it looks like this method. So now, as you can see, there is the fusible interfacing side, and here is the front. So yeah, these were a little bit wonky, but that's because they were cut a little bit longer. This was like the end of a strip that I had. So all I do is make it to size, trim it up, and then attach it to this one. Now I've got 2 9 patches. Try this method with using the smaller squares. You might want to pin it at first after putting the fusible interfacing on it, just to be safe on that side, because if you're with it upside down, you really can't see where they're meeting one another, and you want to make sure that they're all uniform. So I hope this has been a good little tip trick to do. It does make quilting a little bit easier. We'll get into the quilting part later on.